So, for the collective message today, people have come against you in groups or covens because all of them have to put their gifts together to even read a small portion of your energy after you've disconnected. So, I'm talking to people who know how to set boundaries and disconnect. And so, I'm also speaking to very powerful beings spiritually. And so, with that being said, these people are, when you disconnect from these people, it's really a huge detriment. Let's just say that. Um, so basically, like I was saying, the divine is protecting your energy and protecting your information. So even if they try to get in your energy, try to do readings on you or something like that, they're not going to be able to. They're going to be blocked. And so what Spirit was saying was that if they're, they get together to try to do this like collective reading on one person because they need each of their gifts to be able to get the information that they get. But Spirit was saying even the divine is still in charge of the information. So they're only getting the information about this person that the divine wants them to know. And what they were talking about was that they will present the information in such a way that they'll be reading the energy correctly, but the information is false. So, um, like for instance, they'll give, like, sometimes what happens is, and this happens with spiritualists, that they'll be reading the energy correctly, and so this is how the divine works. They'll be reading the energy correctly. It will resonate completely with that person, but it'll still be tricky information. So, and that is what a powerful reader understands about how the divine works and their energy and when they're reading energy, because you have to know that if the divine is working through you and using you as a vessel, there will be times when they will give you, I'll say, jostled information to throw people off, especially if that person is actively or thinking about coming against you, because you have such a very high calling. So, for instance, I may do a reading where I give someone um, a kind of a breakdown of what their person looks like, maybe ethnic background, maybe how they look, where they're from. It may, one reading may give someone that information. And then if spirit is testing that person, and this kind of speaks to what I was going to talk about later as far as being a spiritual judge. When you're a spiritual judge, you are constantly testing people. People come into your life and your energy specifically for you to test them for the divine. And so, what will happen is, like I said, you may give somebody a love reading and it describe the person that they should be with, and that'll be one reading. And then say this person actually meets someone that they feel like fits the description, so they get a follow-up reading. Well, the follow-up reading may be like, Yeah, well, he does fit the description, but the divine is testing you on whether you can decipher him, his energy from your soulmate's energy. So, the test becomes, how are you going to receive both messages? So the interpretation of the first message is, your person looks like this. He's from here. He's got this ethnic background. He looks like this. He's this height, whatever, whatever. Are you going to rely more heavily on that message? Because a lot of people can fit this description, state wise, how they look, blah, blah, blah. So, so it's now you have to say, am I going to trust a combination of the two readings, or am I just going to trust one reading over the other? And so if this person finds it more important to go with what they feel like is the better option, because one is the glowing love reading, and then the next one was like, this isn't the one. He may fit he may check off the boxes from the first reading, but this is like warlock energy, this person, blah 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 blah. And so the person has to make a choice between what readings they're going to rely on, or can they rely on both? And so those choices carry quite a few consequences. When you choose the, like, what would be considered the easier route, um the easier route is never the easier route. So, like, and I say that because it's like, you may think it's the easier route, but the repercussions from it and all the stuff that you have to deal with on the back end or during or whatever, like, it would have been more beneficial for you just to take the slightly tougher route and avoid all of that and get to your destination faster. But people gonna do what they do. um So, like I was saying, as a spiritual judge, you've come into these people's lives to test them. When you have very powerful spiritual gifts, you can change the world for the better. The Most High will give you the biggest test. So, with a lot of responsibility, you have to prove yourself trustworthy. You have to prove that you are not ego driven and just want to use your gifts to try to get ahead of people and, basically using your gifts for evil. So, the divine will test you very heavily and will put very high ranking spiritual judges and spiritual beings in your path in order to give you like the ultimate test. So passing the test with a spiritual judge unlocks supernatural gifts. Spirit, and this part, I take this with a grain of salt because I might need to do a deeper dive into this. But I was hearing that spirit will allow destiny swaps orchestrated by the divine. So I'm not saying that, just any spiritualist walking the earth can destiny swap. That's not what I'm saying, because that's not possible. But if the divine is involved, and the divine is like, nah, we stripping you of all of these gifts, and we are then going to facilitate a destiny swap. So whereas these people had like very high rank, very powerful beings, even in, the earth realm, if they not getting it right, Spirit said, oh no, we gonna swap that out. So I wouldn't want to be in that number. That's all I'm gonna say. So I was saying energy, well, Spirit was saying energy is stripped of all gifts and they will only reincarnate in a human vessel. So, like I've been talking about in previous lives, these people that, um, you know, took it a different route, especially the spiritualists that are very powerful, very high ranking. Um, they gonna be in that number of people that's gonna have to keep reincarnating into a vessel. Um, and I've talked about on previous lives the differences between a vessel and human form. So the people who are raptured, and I say raptured with quotation marks because um it just means that you now have fully transcended the body. So instead of being bound to a time limited vessel that deteriorates, you will be um in human form that doesn't expire, that just exists. And so that's like the equivalent to having like existing in heaven on earth, or um just I want to say it's like, because in the Bible, I think somewhere, I think something I read the other day was saying like eternal communion with source. And so when you have eternal communion with source, like that's being able to live just in human form that just never expires, has, is embodying all of their supernatural gifts. Um yeah, so like there were people who, so the people who achieve enlightenment in a lifetime, they are the ascended masters who then are able to incarnate at will. So anytime someone becomes an ascended master, they have transcended the body. The lotus flower has opened on in their crown chakra, and they no longer like really have to commune with common people because they are so divinely connected, like, for lack of better terms. Thank you for the follow, thank you for the gift. um and so when you have these two existences at the same time, the people who are like not raptured, the ones who are going to be eternally trapped in a time sensitive vessel, they will have to watch like what the experience is of living as a human form versus a human vessel. So when you're in human form, if you can imagine, like the imagery that they're giving me is like the skeletal system and how the skull is closed. So when the skull is closed, that's like before your awakening, before you really get to understand and know who you are. um Tapping into your spiritual gifts, perhaps, like all of the confines of the human vessel. but then and then also having to experience like struggle and strife and unalivings and essays and like all of the lowest vibrational traumatic things that happen in the earth. They will then have to be like watching and observing how people in human form are living their best, most luxurious, most opulent lives. And when you have achieved, when you become an ascended master, you don't have to tag, I lost my train of thought. You don't have to, oh spirit, bring it back. Um So I think what I was trying to say is that like when you become an ascended master and you are in human form and not a human vessel, you don't have to experience all of the harshest things in life. You are not like experiencing, financial hardship and homelessness and just being downtrodden and all that stuff. These beings get like infinite wealth, infinite money because it's from the divine. But how the earth system has been set up, where you have it so that there has to be a certain amount of servants, if you will, in order to keep the most elite people, the wealthiest people, the wealthiest people. And so when you have, lifetime after lifetime of living the best life, your family being totally taken care of financially, like we're talking about generational wealth passed down type energy. When you have that and then you also don't have a heart for humanity, so there's a difference. There's a lot of business people that aren't corrupt, that aren't treating their employees poorly, that pay their employees well, that actually care about humanity, that makes efforts to give back and stuff like that. I'm not talking about those kind of companies. I'm talking about like the people who have intentionally burdened people for their benefit, intentionally use manipulation tools to create an environment of people feeling like they have to work, and that's all they have. That's all they're here to do is work. That type of um, distinction in how they have categorized people, if you will. Um, just from like, I would say, an energetic mind programming standpoint, because a lot of social media, a lot of just the media in general, it programs people's minds. And so like I know that I watch a ridiculous amount of social media, and I know that that's for a purpose. Is for me to be able to understand like how addictive it is, how manipulative it can be, how it shapes your thoughts, how it shapes your life, how it shapes how you are projecting your energy out into the world. And but I stay away from certain information. I don't watch the news. I usually get my updates from social media, but that's the extent of it. Like I'm not, first of all, I'm not going to stress myself out about something that I can't control. I'm just not. Like if I like, it'd be one thing if I could like wave a wand and do something about it, and but like I'm getting all stressed out and up in arms over something I have zero control over. Not doing that. So But anyway, these are the controls that have been put in place for like the people who have been the servants. And so there was going to be a flipping of that. Because if you notice, a lot of times it'll be the people who need the most that are the most generous. Like, I promise you, I mean, it's wild how, people have hidden cameras and they do stuff, and they interact with like homeless people and people who just look like they don't have much. And it be those people that's like, oh, let me go get you a meal. Well, I only got $5, but I'm gonna get you a meal or whatever, and it's just so spirit is like, we really want to reward those people who kept pure hearts even throughout all of the oppression and all of the just the lies. And like I was saying the other night, lies erasing history, um, demonizing spirituality and spiritual gifts and making it seem like if we use them is, going against God and all this other stuff. And meanwhile, it's the complete opposite. It's the complete opposite. The divine is not in support of traditional religion. And I can say that with confidence. And so it's going to take, many people to come together and actually show the world collectively what non-tradition looks like, and because that's the thing, like the oppression part has been the suppression of your power as a spiritual being. And so if you are, trained in school to be like employee minded, you spend all this money on college and then you don't get paid enough to daggone live, let alone pay back your student loans and stuff. So, yeah, look, I just can't say enough about the bullshit that we have to deal with on a daily basis. I think I'm going to leave it alone. Um, Thank you for the likes. So, like I was saying, while the people who are raptured will be able to incarnate in human form, which is the like I said, human form does not expire, is fully integrated with the divine, and doesn't have to feel all of the pain and um, loss and everything that people who are trapped to a vessel have to feel. And so, like I was saying, the servant then becomes the raptured beings. And then the people who, were being served are now going to be trapped in a human vessel. And this is for entertainment purposes only. Okay. And so Spirit was saying, so like I was talking about on my last live, I was talking about the final judgment. And so I don't think people really believe that there will ever be a final judgment, because if you can think about, if you can imagine like how old the planet is, and when you have energies that are like literally going, like Spirit was saying, when you reincarnate into a human vessel, you literally go from the tomb to the womb. So your body go like your energy, as soon as it leaves your body, it ends up going into another vessel, because spirit is like, nah, you gonna have to work this one out. again. So when people transition and they like, oh, please don't make me go back to a vessel. Like, nah, homie, like you didn't do that. Like, this is your contract. This is what you're supposed to do. You didn't do that. So, boop, pluck your head and there down you go back to a body. And I mean, that's like the goofy version of what really happens, but seriously. And, like I said, these ascended masters, they only incarnate at will. And when they do, they're going to be in human form. So it's like, bruh, these people are going to have to watch. Basically, they're going to have to watch heaven on earth from hell. I didn't say it. I'm just the messenger. Take that for what you will. I'm just going to leave it there. And when I talk about heaven and hell, I'm not talking about anything Christian. I'm not talking about anything traditional. I'm not talking about any, like, no, I'm not talking about, because I know that the divine does not have a problem with the LGBTQIA plus community. So, like, there's a whole lot of sins, that can occur, but there's nothing that, there's no like real sins, as far, unless you're looking at my but like to say that, oh, unaliving a person is a sin, and this and that and that and this and this. And I mean, of course we're supposed to care for each other, but you just never know what someone is working out from a past lifetime. And I don't want to get too far into that, because I don't want to offend anybody or trigger anyone with regard to what is a fly in here, with regard to how they feel about all of the trauma that we see on a day-to-day basis. So I don't want to minimize anyone's pain at all. I just, I'm just articulating it the way the divine is giving it to me, because people just don't understand the intricacies of everything that happens, and for what reason. Even, as dastardly as it looks, there is a reason for everything. And a lot of it has to do with people working things out from multiple past lifetimes. And so, yeah, I'm just gonna leave it there. So, like I was saying, energies, because they have had all these eons of time to be able to reincarnate and continuously try to work it out until they get, achieve enlightenment. Most people, most energies, they remember that. So it's not like, you consciously remember that, but you remember, you viscerally, like in your body and your energy, that you have gotten passes. So like pass after pass after pass. And so when you get pass after pass after pass, and we talk about since the beginning of this planet, most energies would not even believe that there was going to be a final judgment. And so that's, yeah. And I really hate talking like this because I feel real churchy, but the divine, this is what divine has been downloading to me because yeah, I don't want to seem churchy. But the analogy that they were giving me is like when people forget what childbirth is like. So I mean, unless you had like a super traumatic, like near death situation with childbirth, and I send you so much love if that was your experience. Most people that just have the typical birth, even maybe with a C-section or whatever, they don't, they pretty much, in order to have another child, they forget what it was like to be in active labor. And so that's basically what the divine is comparing like incarnation to. So you remember certain things, but then you don't remember the fullness of that thing until you actually get into it. You know, like you, it's all love, and you know, when you pregnant, and then but when them labor pains hit, look, it takes it to a whole nother level. So yeah. So that's what I was getting today. And so I was like, so I was asking Spirit, like, well, what would the point of reincarnating after the final judgment be? Because if people can just be in spirit and not have to incarnate and all that, and it's the final judgment, so it's not like you're coming to help people, to try to help people achieve enlightenment. So Spirit was saying it's basically to fuck with them, like to fuck with the people that is trapped in the vessel. And I was like, damn. Because they were basically saying that it will allow the people stuck in the vessel to see what it's like to have these wealth roles reversed. Thank you for the follow. And so, and I was hearing the transfer of wealth will begin during spring equinox. And this has been for entertainment purposes only. I'm going to pull some cards and see if Spirit has anything else to say or give us some confirmation for the channel message. Thank you for sharing the live. So I was talking about the reincarnation, and we have this card right here. And I was talking about going from the tomb straight to the womb. Yeah. And I was talking about people breaking tradition, showing the world that, you know, there's more to life than traditional religion. And I feel like this is reconciling people to the divine and the truth of the divine. And all that trick shit is over. We ain't doing no more trick shit. Yeah, so Spirit is saying there's a new beginning with new clarity, new energy, mastering your energy, clearing your mind, clearing your thoughts, mastering your mind, reprogramming your mind, moving forward, making the right choices, knowing your energy, relying on your energy, trusting your energy. Because Spirit's drawing my attention to like him holding on to that wand, so trusting your energy and relying on your energy. And Spirit is hoping to balance everything out. You're now pouring into your own cup, loving yourself, treating yourself with kindness. Oh, excuse me. The first card that popped up was intuition. So that's confirmation for me that I am using my intuition. Because I be questioning myself, like, bruh. And we have throat chakra in the reverse. And so I feel like you've recently had to speak up for yourself because you were not speaking up for yourself. And that is fulfilling like part of your contract involving using your voice. I also feel like because we have intuition and throat chakra in the reverse next to each other, I feel like that's also an indication of being able to communicate telepathically. So that's another thing that hey Kirby, that's another thing that will separate the people who have been raptured from the people who are trapped in a vessel. Being able to communicate telepathically, they gonna have some problems because that just means like, and it also has to do with like people try to do readings on you and stuff like that and communicate with you telepathically, to try to get you back in their energy and to open up to them. And we're not doing that. It's time for patience and planning. And that kind of, it basically expands on this because, looking forward, kind of predicting what's going to happen in the future is going to be important. Thank you for the follow. And Spirit is saying no more emotional loss. And that is confirmation of what I was saying about like not having to suffer, not having to deal with the things of life that people who are trapped in a vessel will have to deal with. Power. Every single thing in your life has been in divine order and divine timing and has been for a purpose to strengthen you. I encourage people to not have any regrets about their past. I encourage people to not grieve their past. I encourage people to not, feel like they're too old or they missed the mark or they missed some type of deadline. Because that's not what it's supposed to be about. You said Ashe, it's a part of growth. Exactly. And so we have triumph. And like I said, everything you've gone through, everything you've overcome, you are triumphant over that. And the divine is going to richly reward you. Did the shadow work. You don't have to do, hard shadow work anymore. And that's also for anyone who's refusing to do shadow work. Refusing to do shadow work is really going to hinder your intuition. It really will. And then I got a siren outside as confirmation of what I just said. And we have truth, we have the scales. And I was talking about reincarnation, and that's weighing the heart on the scale. And then we have transformation in reverse. And I feel like this goes along with the shadow card in reverse. If you're just refusing to do the work, then you're not going to see much transformation. You're not going to see much advancement in your gifts. And you're also going to be hurting people because when you refuse to do the shadow work and you out here holding yourself out to be a spiritualist, that's not a good look if you're reading through janky ass energy. Because I'm reading through my energy for my collective, and then other people are reading through their energy for their collective. So I would not like join someone's collective that has a lot of drama in their readings. And I'm not talking about the ops or whack ass spiritualists that are trying to do spell work and stuff like that. I'm talking about like just straight up life drama, relationship drama, friendship drama. Like, just because I was watching one reader at one time, and this is no shade to any reader. Please don't take it like that. Because I mean, if you wanna exist in that type of collective, some people like drama, excitement, and all of that shit, and that's fine. If that's the collective you feel comfortable with, more power to you. But if you're trying to grow and accelerate and evolve and awaken, you need to be in collectives of people who are really giving you some spiritual gain, and also like encouraging you to be a kind-hearted person, a compassionate humanitarian, um, encouraging you to think the most positive thoughts about yourself and love yourself, and just like, I'm not saying everything gotta be nammy pammy. I am very nosy, and sometimes I just be wanting to be nosy, like with celebrity gossip or whatever. And so I'm not saying that you have to be like, this strict goody two shoes or whatever. But I'm just saying that you have so many opportunities to just be kind to someone. But like you'll be presented with the opportunity to be kind to someone, but then some people sit there and take a jab at the person. Like, come on now. You ain't got to take jabs at people. That's just petty as hell. And the heart chakra card came out, so I definitely feel like what I'm saying is like spirit, like we gotta I'm not saying come from your heart without boundaries, and I'm not saying come from your heart without using common sense. I'm saying coming from a healed place, and knowing what it takes in order for people to overcome adversity. If you are sitting in a bunch of lives that are talking about drama and talking about situations that you're trying to get in your life, it's like I said earlier, it's going to be a problem, because you have to be able to think higher, to look at the situation from a higher perspective, to be able to use your intuition in order to function over your ego or your human, vessel. Um, yeah. So there you have it. Here we have balance. We have balance and the temperance card out here. So spirit is basically saying, yeah, we bringing balance back to the earth. We bringing equity back to the earth. 1111 is like the number of the sun as well. Like the son of man. Patience. And we kind of have that twice as well. Patience and planning. And like I feel like this card is the Three of Wands is patience and planning as well. And so I know it's a pain in the ass. I do. Like, if my spirit team tell me to just be patient one more damn time, I think I'm gonna lose my shit. Cause I feel like, how much longer do I have to be patient for real? Like it's getting ridiculous now. I've been patient for all this time, and it's getting a little crazy. Spirit, what else do you have for the collective? You said patience is a virtue. Yes, it is. It really is. I mean, I'm not gonna stop being patient now because that would just be lunacy. With as far as I've come being patient, I'm definitely not gonna stop being patient now. But yeah, it's a lot challenging. Cause I've crashed out many times. Yes, we've come too far. I have crashed out many times on my spirit team. And I don't recommend that because I know what my relationship is with my spirit team. And but if you're not totally sure about what your relationship status is, don't crash out on them. But I be crashing out on them. You said when you want to lose it, remember how far you come. Yes, I thank you for the encouragement, for real. I have come such a long way. Because I was in a state of not knowing what my purpose was. It was like I felt like I had a really big purpose, but couldn't put my finger on what my purpose was. So that was one frustration. And then the other frustration was just having to go through all these hard times and still have faith that there was more for me and there was more for my family. And that shit ain't easy. You said anytime you feel that way, meditate. Oh yeah. Yeah, no, I'm good. Excuse me. I'm good. I just, I'm talking about like the past. I understand things way better now, and when I have a question, they will give me an answer. So when you lack, and I hate to correct myself when I say stuff like this, because it really kind of gets on my nerves, the whole understand, overstand. Anyway, stop. But when you really have a firm understanding of who you are from a spiritual perspective, then like you just totally see things differently. And like we have your success is inevitable. Somebody's divine masculine is a freak, because this is the second time I've got your twerk win is top notch and magical Uzi. Well, not magical Uzi. I haven't had that recently. But your twerk win is top notch came out the last live. You are worthy of the best life has to offer. And the best life has to offer is being with your divine masculine or feminine. I feel like Spirit is saying that people just can't stand you because you're attractive, you take care of yourself, you're calm, you're peaceful, you're not in fear of like what people think of you or how you're perceived. You're not like questioning your success. And here we go. Spirit is saying your conversations stimulate others. So they can't stand you because your mind stimulates others. And child, they attempted to attach to your abundance. Ain't that some shit? Isn't that what I was talking about earlier? Folks be really, and then the spirit said that's fucked up that they did that. And spirit's like, you don't have a clue of the magnitude of things that we have protected you from. That spirit only tells us a snapshot. Because if we really knew how much they protected us from, we would probably like have heart palpitations and shit. You said I'm going through a real shift today. Okay. Yeah, I feel like there's something going on because I've been sleeping a lot lately. Well, I don't know if I would say a lot, but it feels like I've been sleeping. I'll say for over the past couple months, it feels like I'm sleeping more than over the past couple of months. And we have could be pertaining to a fire sign or someone with fire heavily aspected in your chart. Oh my Lord. Spirit said, call your power and energy back. And I would say, especially if you had a spiritualist who was a mentor that that did spiritual, try to do spiritual work on you. Because people will attach to you like through mentorship, or if you're paying them like a monthly fee like for Patreon or something like that. That's an energy exchange and a way for people to feel like they're still connected to you. You said rest allows us to heal and recover. Absolutely. Hi, Whimsy. Thank you for the follow. So, your testimony heals the world. Yeah, when other people, especially spiritualists, see that you have gifts that will heal the world, they not trying to hear all that. They trying to stop you, swap you by any means necessary. And that's why spirit will put you in the midst of people who need to be tested, who need a very powerful test. Because when people do stuff to you, even after they see you, that right there, there's some crazy ass people out here. Because that right there is unimaginable in my mind on some real shit. And I'm getting an earth sign. You may have fire and the earth highly aspected in your chart. You may have fire and earth in your big three. And I'm getting humanitarian. And that's what I was talking about earlier. Yeah, these other spiritualists that tried to come against you, they have a superiority complex. Like, who is you? We all out here in these damn spiritual streets, reading energy and pulling cards. Don't do that. Spirit said your intuition does not miss. And we also have this other intuition card out here. Confirmation. And what I say, a judge, being a spiritual judge, walking karma. So that's confirmation. And I said earlier, took your kindness for weakness. At least I think I said that earlier. Maybe I was on the other live, but taking your kindness for weakness. And Spirit is saying your readings are scary accurate. So that's further confirmation of your intuition being on point. And here we have soul contract under review. And I was talking about like when you have completed your soul contract, it goes under review. And when you are fucking up your soul contract, it goes under review. So I feel like my collective are the ones who have passed their test and are the spiritual judges, are the walking karma. And then these other people that chose to treat you badly, try to stop you, do spell work on you, try to spy on you spiritually. Their soul contract is under review too. Stop. And we have toxic family in the reverse. So Spirit is like, yeah, we not doing no more toxic families. And that includes like friendships down. And these people were, trying to consider themselves family. And nah, you not family if you're trying to harm me, slow me down, stop me. Stop. Spirit say your health is improving. That's mental health, physical health. Ooh. We have the seer card out here. So that's further confirmation of that intuition being on point. And we have failed competition. Spirit said, oh, they thought they was going to compete. No, they cannot compare. Sorry. And Spirit said, you know who you are. Because I know quite a few people watch me from outside the live. So, yeah, you know who you are. And this could be involving a water sign. Secrets revealed. And, I've talked about this previously, how people really think that they can cloak their energy from other spiritualists when they doing spell work on them. Huh? If I can see everything, why in the hell would you think you could cloak your energy from me, especially when you're doing spell work? And here we have jealous energy. And the thing is, why be jealous when we could lock arms and build together and do this thing together and, be a soul tribe of high-ranking divine beings with all these spiritual gifts? People just be on some other shit. I need people that want to build with other people. I need a better disc because these cards keep hitting the flow. Something got to give. Spirit, anything else the collective needs to know? And I feel like your health is improving is also referring to the fact that these people try to like negatively impact your health spiritually. And Spirit was basically saying the more they did it, the more your health was improving. So whatever they doing, the opposite positive happens to you exponentially. And yeah, this was flipped over. So they out here in the spirit now because spirit said you were warned. You said jealousy is not a quality of someone who's anointed or whatever term you want. Exactly. Correct. Yeah, because you out here an official person. You are heavily protected because this is your destiny. This is your purpose. Hey, cut it out. Oh my gosh. Will y'all stop it? What the hell is going on? Stop. Down. Down. These are dogs, not children. In case anybody was wondering. Down. We have change. So change is on the horizon. And we have expectation. So you should expect abundant things to happen with this change. Oh my God. I said expect abundant things to happen with this change. And here we have great fortune. Baby, this whole entire live is clocked. Officially. Because I've been talking about the flipping. And you know, Spirit is drawing my attention to 9. When the 9 is this way, but then when you flip it, it's a 6. And so Spirit was like, yeah, it's about to be a flipping. A flipping of the wealth, a flipping of the authority. So all the people who have an authority rank in the spirit realm will be in authority in the natural. And expect this change. Expect this new beginning. Because you are now officially on the path to your destiny. And expect for great fortune to be attached to your life and all of your endeavors. Thank you. I feel like somebody want a love reading. Somebody always want a love reading. Yeah, you said time locked in. Yep. Time locked. That's messed up. And now that it's the final judgment, we talking about an eternity like that? No, thank you. So, who won a love reading? It might not be what you want. I feel like Spirit wants me to use another day. Right. Oh, it's right. It might not be what you want. Well, we gonna see. I don't get the greatest feeling from this one, but we gonna see. Thank you for the repost. Higher Soul Spirit, what does the collective need to know in a love reading? And we want the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, even if it's not what we want to hear. I'm hearing you are the truth, so somebody thinks you the truth, honey. Okay. So somebody thinks you the truth. Well, we got the 10 of Pentacles. So this one might go in your favor now. It might go in your favor. So I feel like Spirit is saying that you basically stop entertaining and trying to plan the future with whack ass, weak ass energies, whether that be male or female. As Spirit is saying, it's because you mastered your energy. You allowed the divine to help you with your energy, to help you master your energy. Oh shit. So, and we were talking about walking karma earlier. We were talking about weighing the heart on the scales. And I feel like this Ace of Wands is connected to the Chariot card. So we're talking about like in as little as a day to a week that you'll be, I feel like encountering this person, your person. If you haven't already. Oh. And here we go, the Six of Pentacles. More scales, more justice, more balancing. And we also had the Temperance card come out. And we had the Balance card come out earlier. And so Spirit is basically talking about you about to get your justice for all the shit that you had to go through, especially in romantic relationships. And Spirit is saying, don't have regret about your past because it was before you knew that you were a star being. And so Spirit's like, don't regret the past. Because it's really their loss, because the people that you encountered were other divine high ranking beings. So they would only like benefit exponentially by being with you. But you can't convince everybody of who they are. And so you all are healing from all of the betrayal, all of the heartache in these relationships. Yeah, Spirit said your creativity wasn't aware to you. You weren't aware of what a creative star being you are. And so when you don't have that awareness, when you're not aware of your strength, it creates the energy of just not really looking at things from the perspective that they need to be looked at. Ooh. And what was I talking about earlier? The final judgment. The final judgment, the awakening. Oh boy. Thank you for the heart, me. Yeah, Spirit said you didn't even realize how magical you are, that you are the universe. And, that was what you had to go through. And this is also speaking to, remember I was talking about earlier where you forget, and then in between incarnations, you forget, you come in with a forgetfulness until you actually have to like dive into the trenches. And I compared it to like forgetting how hard childbirth can be, but getting pregnant again. Okay. And that may be a message for somebody. You might be pregnant. If you think you're pregnant, you might need to get a test. The Six of Cups. So yeah, this is like giving the two of you have worked on your inner child healing and will heal each other's inner children. You all will fill each other's cups. And as soon as I say you all will fill each other's cups, this came out in the reverse. And this is like representative of the people that you used to entertain in the past. Cup always empty. But you see in this picture, their cup is full. All their cups are full. It's a balanced number of cups, 3 and 3. The masculine and feminine, the balance of the masculine and feminine, one is not higher than the other. And this kind of speaks to Adam and Eve being that they're in a tree swing. So, and like I've been talking about the original beings. Yeah, sir, it is like, it's all up from here. This is your new beginning. This is the beginning of your new life. We have the Nine of Pentacles in reverse because you're moving into the Ten of Pentacles. So that's elevation in your finances. Because in the first half of your life, with all of that, we all, the people who have the biggest assignments had to experience a lot of financial loss, had to experience getting money, then being broke again, then getting money, then being broke again, then getting money, then having it for a while, and then doing something and being broke again. Like, that's the energy it's given. And then we have the Two of Wands. The world is your oyster. And you see how this represents fire and energy, and then there's like a little thing that's like connecting her mind to the energy. And so that's what I'm talking about. That supernatural, the supernatural gifts being brought online. Okay. And Spirit said, yeah, it's about to be a flipping. The world is about to get turned upside down. And I'm hearing that Diana Ross sound. That I can't talk. The Diana Ross song, "Upside Down, You Turn Me." Spirit said, "This what folks relegated to a body about to be looking like." And I'm hearing that song, "Sitting on the dock of the bay." I don't know what them songs mean. Well, that second one, that's an old school song. I would have to go listen to the lyrics. Oh my God. Let me see something. Let me see something. I cracked myself up. Oh, Lordy. I guess I'm going to have to look it up on YouTube. So, Otis Redding, "Sitting on the Dock of the Bay."
Sitting in the morning sun, I'll be sitting when the evening comes, watching the ships roll in, then I'll watch them roll away again. Yeah, I'm sitting on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. Ooh, just sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time.
Sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time.
I left my home in Georgia.
It's called "On the Dock of the Bay" by Otis Redding. Or "The Dock of the Bay," or "Sitting on the Dock of the Bay" by Otis Redding.
So I'm just gonna sit on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. Sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time.
And so one of the comments said that Otis Redding wrote this song while he was on a rented boat, and he only recorded it twice. So he must have been going through some hard times, because if you got to rent a boat to stay in. And then we have the Six of Wands. So being in the spotlight, being triumphant and successful.
2,000 miles I roam just to make this dock my home. Now I'm just gonna sit at the dock of the bay.
Now this is very interesting because if you know anything about like birth certificates and the terminology that's used when we enter a vessel, oh shit. So when you so when you're born, people call it like docking your vessel here. And so when you're like, so, and that's what they link it to, like the birth certificate, because the birth certificate is like a manifest number, if you will, for like a boat vessel. And so they compare like the birth certificate and I guess the social security number. And then when you have the courthouse, that also has like a boat reference as well, like dockets and stuff like that. I can't remember the whole explanation verbatim, but I know that definitely vessels, you know, boats are called vessels. I've been talking about having to reincarnate in a vessel, and that song was said, he said, sitting at the dock of the bay wasting time away or something, he said. So I would definitely say that's confirmation. um we have the Hierophant in reverse again. So definitely breaking tradition. Spiritualists being you know, the new celebrities, being able to teach people more about the divine. And we have the Nine of Swords in reverse. So yeah, that the hard part of your life is over now. And I was talking about earlier, like disconnecting from people, especially people who are trying to do you dirty or do, you know, just whack ass things in your energy. And the song that came up after that other one is Ain't No Sunshine When She Gone. Ain't no sunshine. And then, you know, the other thing that spirit is bringing me to is like the vampires, because I just finished watching the movie Sinners, and the vampires burn up in the sunlight. And so, you know, the whole metaphor of the Son of Man, the Son of God, SUN. Um, and here we have her with the sun surrounding her head. And that's kind of like an imagery of Jesus, like the concept of Jesus, because typically that person has like a sun halo around their head. Yeah, so me talking about you just not being aware that you're a star being, that doesn't mean that you weren't operating in your gifts since you were little. Because when you're born like that, you're constantly operating in your gifts, whether you realize it or not. So, not really cognitively knowing or understanding that you have these gifts or what that means, that doesn't mean that you're not actually operating in those gifts, because it's still, there's something that doesn't come and go. You've always had these abilities. And so again, we have the hangman, and we were talking about the other live. We were talking about the crucifixion and how this usually typically represents seeing things from a different perspective. But I was also saying that Spirit was saying that this is representative of like the rebirth. And so when you like in the upright, that's the crucifixion. And this right here, this has a lot of meanings. I know it has to do with the womb and stuff like that, but it's also considered the eye of the needle. And so when you go through the crucifixion or like the death and the awakening, then you're going through the eye of the needle, which is the highest level of consciousness. Because if you could see people in the upper realms of consciousness and see what they look like, they always have this thing around their face, which is considered the eye of the needle. And so that tells me that, like how Spirit is talking about how she's pointing toward the dirt, almost like she's buried within the tree, because the tree kind of looks hollow, and it's almost like the burial, and then she's about to have a rebirth. And then we have the Goddess of Wands in the reverse. And I feel like Spirit is referencing that with not having control of your energy, not having emotional intelligence, not being able to manage your anger, and letting your darkness overshadow you. And so, the collective had to do a lot of work to get out of that energy, because that's the energy that most people are living in day to day. I mean, I don't know how people do it, because I can only imagine how stressful that is to be living in that type of energy day to day. And I know that watching a lot of news and watching, paying attention to even the news updates you see on social media, paying attention to a lot of like celebrity gossip. And I know I talked about that earlier. I look at it occasionally, like if it comes across my timeline and I may see something, I may dig a little deeper to be nosy. But there's some things that I'm not gonna spend my energy on, like this whole Clarissa Shields, Papoose, and Remy Ma. Like, I'm over that shit. Like, I dug into it a little bit initially, and now I'm over that shit. That whole, after I saw that press conference that Stephon Diggs did the other day, I'm over him and this Cardi B shit, because their relationship benefits the team. It's like marketing for the team. That's why the owner be schmoozing with Cardi B. Because he's like, sis, you know how much revenue you have generated for my team? Just for y'all pretending to be an item and shit. Like that, I wouldn't be surprised if they were paying them at this point. Like, y'all just pretend to be together so that we can all get this money. Like, can we pay y'all to continue to pretend like y'all together? And I'm not saying that it's like that, because I'm not trying to do no reading on them people's lives, but I'm just saying, like, it's really all about money. Yes, and it's all a distraction for sure. Cause that's really what people like. People like drama. Like it's boring for somebody to be a peaceful person, to not watch TV all the time and not watch certain things on social media and actually, you know, be someone who's just trying to just do their thing and not bother nobody. Shit. Spirit, tell me about the collective, their qualities, their spiritual qualities. Oh, my love. Thank you for the gifts. So right out the gate, we have trust and thrive. And I've been talking about trusting the divine, trusting your intuition, trusting your gifts. And we have follow the voice of your soul. So y'all are definitely star beings connected to ancient Egypt. And like I was saying earlier, the official wealth transfer will begin at the spring equinox. We had the seer card come out earlier, so you all are definitely tapped in. We had the seer card, we had the intuition card, and we had some other card come out. Mirror guardian, this is what I've been talking about, being a spiritual judge, mirroring people to themselves, showing them who they are, giving them tests. And we have traveler going in a new direction. This is, to me, this is like the Fool card, starting over. And I feel like she has a hood on to symbolize she's protected. And we have drum. And we have heart guardian. So with the drums, I definitely feel like you were a shaman in your past life. And with the heart guardian, this goes back to, in the context of this reading, this goes back to like being a spiritual judge, weighing the heart on the scale, being a heart guardian. And so Spirit is encouraging you to see beyond your current situation and allow yourself to receive love. Also, it's important to write down your dreams. Yeah. So I feel like that's it. Is there anything else, Spirit? Down, 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 down. Ashe. Oh, it was a pleasure connecting with you too. Thank you for coming through. Okay. I think that's it. That's it, Spirit. I was looking at my playlist. Alright, so Spirit will just collectively time. Oh, thank you, Devon, if you're still here. Stephanie, were you paying for a reading? She said, you are absolutely beautiful. Your energy is a blessing. Oh, thank you so much, Whimsy. So we have Divine Source. Help me know that all my deepest needs will be met. Let me trust that you have a plan and the right actions will come. You are my source for all. And when you are an ascended master, when you have transcended the body, you are divine source. And we have love. Divine source is the idea that no person, place, or thing is your salvation. And that's what I just said. Only love itself. And we have breaking tradition a couple times come out. And Spirit is saying, be grateful for the signs that helped you get out of this delusional state. And the song is saying, feel so real and my mind won't let go. And I just talked about be grateful for the signs that got you out of delusion. And we have faith. Miraculously, amazingly, everything I need always comes. Love is opening me to receive beyond anything I imagine. So we had trust. What was it? I think it was the Divine Source card. Help me to know that all my deepest needs will be met. And then we have miraculously, amazingly, everything I need always comes. Love is opening me to receive beyond anything I imagine. And we have the love card as well. So have faith in divine source's love. And when someone loves you, when someone truly loves you, they are a provider and a protector, period. And that doesn't have to mean just money. It means you protect me through your love from others, mistreatment of me. You have, just provision also means like it's more of a mental emotional thing. So I would rather have like a situation where the money wasn't all that great, but the love, the support, the emotional development was there. Because if we give birth to children where we are whole, or not perfect, but we're whole emotionally and mentally, like that unlocks so many other things, and it's so much more valuable than actual material money. Because if you think about it, people have creativity that then creates the money flow. And so if you're like so focused on the money, or hustle, go, and you're not taught how to open your mind and how to free your mind and how to see things from a higher perspective and how to balance your energy and balance your emotions and problem solve as a really young person, like that person would have so many like supernatural abilities, very early on in life. Because when you're a child, especially, you're like a sponge, so you're absorbing everything that is in your environment, the way people the expressions on their face, the way they talk, their accents, the way they handle conflict. And so you're taking in all of that stuff, and so that's shaping your personality, and it's shaping how you think and how you move through life. So yeah, take it easy. All right, y'all, thank you for hanging out. See you later.